I was like amped last night to talk about this, and now I've
it has waned.
Yeah.
Like before you watched it, you were amped?
No, I watched about half of it last night because I wanted to get a head start.
Sure.
And then I finished it today.
Yeah.
And then I've just kind of I'm just like ready for Riverdale now.
I'm also ready for Riverdale.
I remember kind of liking this in a weird way.
Me too.
And I didn't this time.
Same.
Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is So I'm Watching This Show, your twice weekly pop culture podcast where we talk about movies, TV, music, and more. And as always, this is a spoiler show, so you have been warned. On today's episode, we are going to continue our journey through the DCEU with their whopping third entry, third outing, Suicide Squad.
The hell's wrong with you people?
We're bad guys. It's what we do.
If anybody's following along, you can see that my octopus is crabby today.
Angry octopus. I was excited for this movie several ways over.
Like when it first came out?
Yeah. Well, it had a cool trailer. It had like 3 cool trailers.
Yeah.
I love them and also hate them because I love the trailers. It's basically a music video, the one trailer. Because it's to Bohemian Rhapsody, which is always great. And they do the thing where they sync up the action with the music. Because I just remember Harley.
With the shotgun.
Well, it was like a baseball bat. But she has like the shotgun. And she's like, poof, 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 and then that like swooping helicopter thing with the fireworks going off of it. And it just like, there's so many really fantastic dynamic shots in this movie. And I was so ready. I was so ready to come in and be like, you know what? This isn't that bad.
I was hopeful that I was going to feel the same way because I remember enjoying it until like just past the halfway point.
Well, like our previous movies, one of the hardest things about this is the places where the movie's good. This one's primarily visuals.
I was going to say visually, I don't have a lot to complain about from this movie. Visually, I think most of it is great. We will get into the horrendous, stupidly advised effects on Enchantress later. Other than that, I think visually and aesthetically, this movie has at least a cohesion to it that you can't argue. I think it feels
hot topic of the movie. Yeah.
Well, sure.
I love all the neon, and that's one of the first things I wrote. Is I was like, you know what? If I was 14 years old, I would probably love this.
Yeah.
But oh my god, it's trying way too hard.
Way too hard. At everything.
Everybody, yeah.
But yet it's not trying hard to be coherent or make any kind of sense. Because, like, they literally... Okay, I'm sorry. I have a problem right off the bat. Because they, like... It opens with this, like, crazy scene with Viola Davis and David Harbour and another military guy. And
there are too many people in this movie.
There are way too many people in this movie.
Too many.
There are even too many people in the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
There should be, like, 5 max, and there's, like, 12. And so the problem starts for me immediately, which is that not only is Superman dead, but, like, Batman is... like, I guess sort of just, like, they're not addressing Batman as a threat to national security in this movie. But Superman is dead, and so Viola Davis's Amanda Waller, her big idea is we need to be prepared. So the only option, she literally says these words or the equivalent, the only option is to get together this group of sociopathic murderers to, like, potentially... like go up against that threat. And I was like, that's the only option? I don't think that... Plus, I feel like Superman would decimate these people. This is not helpful.
Because I remember that issue from the first time where I'm like, so she assembles this squad, if you will, in the off chance that they need... that they face a villain so spectacular that they need a Suicide Squad to go in and take care of the problem. And in doing this, and arranging this group, she creates the problem she's attempting to prevent. So it's very stupid from the get-go. None of it really sort of works. This story has no place being the third outing in this extended universe. We haven't seen any of these people.
No, yeah, we're meeting all new people.
And it's doing that thing that that Batman vs Superman does, where it's simultaneously relying on our nostalgia for these characters, but also trying to introduce them at the same time. Yeah. And it's like this stuff, there are so many scenes that are only exciting if you know what they are beforehand.
Yeah.
And it's all tell and no show. I know why stuff is happening in the movie because they kind of explain it, but I don't care. There's no emotional investment whatsoever.
Well, again, it's for me, it's just the same as the Lois and Superman relationship in Man of Steel, where it's like, we are supposed to be so invested in this Rick Flag and June Moon that it's like that is the basis for the entire emotional payoff of the movie, and I don't care. And I love both of these actors.
Well, so I literally wrote, I was like, if Enchantress is the conflict, then why do we have to spend all this time introducing everybody else and all these conflicts that have nothing to do with each other? Yeah. Harley and Joker needed to be well established. They needed to be introduced before this.
In a
Batman movie, a solo Ben Affleck Batman movie.
Deadshot needed to be introduced before this.
Yeah.
Because I think Deadshot, I think Harley Quinn, I think Captain Boomerang,
Katana.
Finn. I mean, well, yeah, but she doesn't really do. She lives out of this. She's so unnecessary,
so inconsequential.
And that's not from a place of disliking her or Karen Fukuhara.
No.
Karen's exceptional
She's
on
great.
The Boys.
Yeah,
but it's just like she does nothing.
Okay,
she brings.
Also, to go to that point, Will and I were talking about it last night, and it was like the man who killed her husband is trapped in that sword, and like, you know, she's sworn like vengeance, blah blah whatever. And I was like, babe, I'm really sorry. If you died, I would just move on. Like, I would be sad for a while and then I would move on. I'm not seeking vengeance with the samurai sword that killed you. I just can't. I don't have that bandwidth to do that.
But I thought she killed him.
No.
Oh.
Okay. No, she's just like seeking vengeance so that his spirit will like leave the sword once.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Cara Delevingne and how do you feel about Enchantress?
I like Cara Delevingne a lot. I wish that she would get a vehicle that's more her speed, and Carnival Row, I think, is the closest she's come to something.
I never saw Paper Towns. Was she?
She's barely in that.
Oh, okay.
Is she like? Yeah, she's that whole book and the movie is about like he's looking for her essentially. So she's in it enough to like make an impression, but
because I've never gotten a sense that she's like a bad actress. I've just never really seen her used well. And I think she's very charismatic and I think she's got a good look and it's like
I will say that I think she's used well in Paper Towns.
Well, there's even her and
Joel Kinnaman.
Kinnaman are doing serviceable star-crossed lovers, what little we get of it.
Yeah.
But it's such a pale imitation of Wanda and Vision. Like, it's so completely, it's so transparent. And I guess I buy June Moon better than I buy Enchantress. Again, not to say that Kara's bad.
Okay.
But it's like they decided to change Enchantress after they had already filmed the role.
Yeah, that's it entirely. I don't have a problem even with her performance as Enchantress because I think from here up, the performance of Enchantress is actually fine. She gets into some weird jerky movements where she just is like, ooh. And I'm just like, why are you like salsa dancing all of a sudden? Like that one specifically is like, she's just like, it's very weird. But it's the bottom half of her that is astonishingly bad to me.
That's what she said.
I think that Cara Delevingne has the presence to pull off something like this.
I might be making this up, but I haven't a memory of her being like, if they wanted me to do that, they just had to ask. Like I can belly dance if you wanted me to do it.
I just like,
it's like, and then
she's French. She's a model. She like, I feel like she's used to doing stuff. Like, were they trying to protect her modesty in some way? That they just like
I think
CG'd?
it's the thing that they hadn't decided.
It's
because I really like her like
yeah
Samara Ring Girl look.
Yeah,
and I even
and
like
the crown.
I like her like beautiful look, but it feels half-baked because why did they give her that voice? It doesn't... What is Enchantress trying to do? What is her goal? Because we have a sky beam by the 40-minute mark.
We do. We really do.
And she's constantly nurturing it, but we have no real concept of what that means.
Yeah, that's the thing is, like, it seems to be mostly vengeance based because Amanda has her heart in that box, and then they like tried to kill her brother.
Well, she's like an ancient, like, South American entity.
Yeah.
And so who is that man that they turn into her brother?
Just a man.
So she just in her sleep, which they need, that is okay. The Enchantress effect is stunning.
It's very cool. The
first time
like
where they
very
do
cool.
this thing and all that. But there's just something about, like, Enchantress.
I told Will you were gonna do it. It's not even that whispery. If it were that whispery, it would be cool. She just is like Enchantress. But it's like not even that throaty. I don't know.
But also it's like Enchantress can do it
without her. Yeah.
And so she like teleports to a subway bathroom and finds some random guy in a mirror and is like, "You're my brother now?"
Well, she has his little doll. That's when she's June and she's an archaeologist who's not following protocol and she rips the head off that doll. That's how she becomes Enchantress down in that pit. Nothing bad has ever happened in a pit when you rip the head off a doll.
Well, also that is what archaeologists do, is immediately destroy the artifacts that they find.
So she finds the other one in like Amanda's office, and that's her brother, and she does that as well. And then
it was just a weird, because that's another major issue I have with this movie is the civilian death toll.
Oh, so many. Because she just is like turning them into soldiers.
And it's grotesque on top of that. So it's like we have weird body horror on top of, like, it threatens a Hellboy place.
Yeah.
So that it doesn't go that bad.
Shut up and listen to me. There's things I need to say.
Sweet Jesus.
I know that tonal is one of those words I throw around like I'm Randy Jackson talking about pitch, but it's
not for me, dog.
It's tonally all over the place. And actually, I'm super positive on Hot Topic now. I think Hot Topic is great, but in like the mid-aughts, Hot Topic was real, to quote the kids, cringy. Like,
when we were the right age for Hot Topic, it was not it.
The voices in my head and Normal's just a setting on the dishwasher and just like, ugh. It's way too juvenile in one instance, and then it's way too adult in the next. And I wasn't quite done with Enchantress, but it's a very us take. But
I'm sure she'll filter back in.
I breakneck into Jared Leto. I remember kind of digging what he was doing. It was a little harder for me to watch this time. I want to blame the director. I'm a Jared Leto apologist, and I don't know why. I'm running out of apologies. But he's doing something, and it's not what we've seen before.
So that's what I'll say, is I actually, for the most part, I would say like 85% of me is fine with this Joker. I think aesthetically...
Especially if the movie were about him.
Yeah, well, don't get me started on that. But aesthetically, I think he is interesting.
I love the costume changes.
I think his look is cool. I don't even have as big a problem with the tattoos as a lot of people do, although the one that literally says damaged across his forehead is too much.
But they're lazy because the tattoo that's good is this one.
That's very good.
That's great.
And I like Harley's like arm cuff. That's like the Harlequin pattern.
But it's like he just has like ha 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 written on him, and it's like that's not that's just, or her like put-in choker. Yeah. It's like you learn 5 things about these characters and then just literally write it on their foreheads. And it's like...
Okay, I have 2 things to say. The first of which is, I read a quote from David Ayer that was like, his tattoos are meant to show how damaged he is. And I'm like, we could have done that without the literal one that says damage on his forehead. And secondly, his tattoos don't bother me as much as they bother a lot of the people, but her tattoos don't bother me at all, because I can believe that in this totally unequal power dynamic of their relationship, he would have forced her to get tattoos. You know what I mean?
Well,
I
and
can
actually,
believe that that's a thing that happened. So her tattoos make no difference to me at all. And that's, like I said, I like his aesthetic. You're totally right. He is at least doing something different than we've seen before. But I heard so much about his behavior off set and behind the scenes that I'm just like, that's not worth it. That's not worth your bad behavior.
The whole method acting thing, because twofold, both folds involving Viola Davis. He apparently didn't do it to her, which means he knew better.
Yeah.
Blessings there, but also the second fold involving her was, of course, like, she could never get away with that. Not that
Viola
she would.
Davis?
But yeah, Viola Davis was sending dead rats to co-stars and stuff.
You know what it reminds me of is that it's not totally the same because he's not a method actor, but there is this amazing interview with Jessica Chastain, and somebody said something about Johnny Depp sometimes getting fed his lines through an earpiece. Do you ever do anything like that when you have like a lot to remember? And she rolls her eyes dramatically and goes, "No, I work hard." And I'm just like, thank you.
Well, it's also
how do you get away with this bullshit?
It's the kind of thing that's become legendary at this point. The Jared Leto on the set of Suicide Squad.
Sure.
And I can understand a big swing. You know what I mean? I can understand an avant-garde, but there's just been no sense of, you know what, in hindsight,
I shouldn't have behaved that way.
Maybe it was too, like, I thought it was in good fun or blah, blah, blah. I was trying something. It backfired, my bad.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've noticed a lot of from people, especially in the public eye, is that there's this weird obsession with doubling down or just completely, and where I'm like, just kind of be like, whoops, you know. And I don't know, it also is the kind of thing that once you acknowledge it, then you sort of open it back up for further comment or discussion, but
still, because it reminds me of another one too, where like I think it was talking about Reese Witherspoon in Wild versus Emile Hirsch in Into the Wild, and they were like, he, like, you know, left and just like lived in the wilderness for like 6 weeks, and like, what did you do to prepare for Wild? And she was like, I showed up on set. I have kids. Do you think that my life would keep happening if I just went off for 6 weeks? She was like, that's ridiculous. And I just think that there's such a gross double standard in that way, where it's like, was Harley Quinn, was Margot Robbie doing stuff like that? Of course not. She was working hard, and that's the thing that like just bums me out.
I remember really liking Harley Quinn, and I still do. But not everything lands.
No.
And I think it's a go for broke performance, and also a testament to her ability that the stuff that does. And because actually I think Will Smith is great in this. He's hit or miss for me sometimes.
Me too.
And also his chemistry with Margot is phenomenal. Yeah. They have such good rapport. And it's stuff where I'm like, oh man, I wish we could see a movie about this. Yeah. Because slightly going back to Enchantress and Rick Flag, I was like, that should be the B plot of this movie, and it's like the E plot. And what the fuck happens with them? What is that scene in the subway station where she goes rogue? I didn't understand it the first time, and I didn't understand it now.
And we see it twice.
What is? Yes.
I don't know.
What happens?
I don't know.
Is he in on that?
On her going rogue?
Yeah.
No.
So then why do we get the flashback to it? Because the flashback implies that it's illuminating something that we didn't see the first time.
Maybe?
I don't know. I
that's the thing, is I can't really make heads or tails of this plot at all. To me, it is almost senseless. To me, this plot is nothing.
I can follow it in sort of like an A, B, C, D, but there's nothing about it that feels organic or feels like a story unfolding. It's so convoluted, and
there's also they were trying to cram so much into this. They were trying to introduce us to so many characters. Like, I believe we could have had Suicide Squad and it would have been a real sausage fest, but we could have done it without Harley Quinn, and we could have relegated Harley Quinn and Joker to a different movie. I don't think I would have liked it as much as I did the first time. What I'm saying is, Harley Quinn and Joker's story feels shoehorned in there in just the same way that Enchantress and Rick Flag's story feels shoehorned in there. And that's not even getting to all of the, like, you know, national security, Viola Davis, David Harbour, Jim Parrick,
and Ike Barinholtz, who are apparently two different characters in this movie. Yeah. I did not realize. I was like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah. Who should also play brothers at some point. Just putting that energy into the universe.
There's a point where, and I'm not kidding, we're an hour into this movie and Scott Eastwood shows up, and I was the Tiffany Pollard Beyonce meme. I was like, what? And his name is GQ.
Yeah. So cute.
I'm just.
It's
but
true.
what does he do? What does he do?
He's just a soldier who then.
Common is there? Why? Yeah. What does he do? And
he gets killed too.
Does he?
Yeah, he shoots him. Joker shoots him. Joker kills Common literally right there, and Scott Eastwood blows himself up in the sewer. Yeah, they're both dead. Just thus proving that the DCEU has no sense of keeping characters around for further development.
That scene with Common, and I know I can hear myself. I'm always trying to find a way to make things gayer than they are. But it's like when Joker gives Harley to Common, he literally is like, you are my gift to this handsome hunka-hunk. But he oversells the hunka-hunk. For some reason, he does this like hunka-hunka. It's like, I don't know what it is. But I was like, could you imagine if he got a little too close to Common? Like if he was sort of like came on to him in this weird backhanded way.
In a way like Ewan McGregor in Harley Quinn, for sure.
And you don't even have to imply Joker's gay. You have to imply that he's a chaos entity.
Sure.
And chaos entity isn't just so shaking up soda cans.
Yeah.
Like, you need to feel unease with them. And there's not really
like Ewan McGregor in Harley Quinn.
But it's like, could you imagine him like coming on kind of to this gangster whilst offering him like a plaything?
Yeah.
It's, I don't know. There should just be there needs to be an element of psycho, because to repeat it again, all tell no show. The like Harley Quinn and Joker backstory. It's like, I mean, they're trying their best, and
I will say that's one of the moments that is visually arresting to me.
I was going to say what works only because they're good at their jobs.
Yeah.
But
because you can't. I mean, this movie and apparently the little things aside, Jared Leto is good at his job. He's a good actor. He's been a working actor for like 30 years.
At no point am I like, that's not the Joker. I mean,
no, it is.
I've been like, I don't like the Joker. But it's a consistent and coherent vision, that part, but there's no seduction in this movie.
No.
Like, there's no sense of danger. Viola Davis is an immaculate actress, but Amanda Waller is so one note. She doesn't have any...
She's very mustache twirly, and honestly, I think they did Viola kind of dirty in this movie. I don't think she looks very good. That's what
the comic book character looks like.
Does she look just... Okay, then in that case, withdrawn, but I was like, girl. No, that's fair if it's comic accurate, but she also gets like the worst lines. I also hate the opening scene, the very opening scene where all of these muckety mucks are like just eating steak while they talk about the destruction of like the justice system or whatever dumb shit. I don't know. It's just really, it put me off so immediately this time in a way that it didn't before.
There was something that she said or did, and I don't remember what it was. I thought I wrote it down, but I didn't look, but I didn't see it when I looked, but where I was like, it needed to be funny.
Yeah.
She needed to say it funny or sarcastically or something, because
I don't think that's a failing of Viola Davis. I have a feeling that she probably came at that funny the first time.
I want to make sure that I'm clear that I don't mean like yuck. Like, I don't mean like punchline, but it's like there's no nuance. There's no peaks or valleys with this character. This character is like straight, like she blows, you know what I mean? And it's just sort of, and also I get that that's what they're going for, but like the scene where she then just like shoots the other people in the office is shocking.
It is. By that point, we know that she'll do a lot in order to get her agenda, but we don't know her to do anything to get her agenda across. And she just does shoot like 4 innocent people who are helping her.
And we didn't spend time with them, but they had lines in the previous scenes.
I think another big weakness of this movie is they, for the most part, because Harley and Deadshot, so Margot Robbie and Will Smith do get some scenes together, but for the most part, the strongest actors don't get scenes together. They don't have rapport. She should have had more to do with Will Smith. She could have had more to do with Margot Robbie. And I think the scene at the end, the like mid or post credit scene with Viola Davis and Ben Affleck is one of the strongest scenes in the movie. And it's because the two of them are total pros, and I think they both have a handle on their character as much as they can.
I just wish there was a precedent for this movie. Like, I wish any of this stuff felt like it needed to happen, whereas the movie just, like, the movie spends 40 minutes of itself trying to convince you of its need to exist. Yeah. And I feel stupid because I'm like, isn't that how all movies are? But, like, no, it's like, the movie is having to justify its existence for a long time
because it's not clear on its own narrative is the problem, and that I think that's the main issue for this movie. And we've made it this far without doing it, but I have to compare this to the MCU, which is, like we said, like 25 properties deep, and there still hasn't been a movie like this where Loki is like the lead of some, you know, evil person.
Well, we've compared before, and we've said that, like, for instance, at least sort of like crazy wise, Guardians is a mild comparison to it. Not from a villain standpoint, but from like space scoundrels. I mean, I don't know.
Sure, but if that's the closest that you've got, and it's that superior of a movie, then it's also not thematically similar almost at all.
I also just don't understand why so many people are stupid, and it's like side characters that are important, but again, back to Enchantress, she's so baffling. The whole thing is so baffling, but they like have this meeting, and clearly this is a clear and present enough danger to entertain this squad. And so she shows off the Enchantress, and this guy was like, what is this, magic show? And I was like, have you been in a coma? Like, did you wake up this moment? You know we're dealing with magic here.
Sure. It's also...
And I think,
you already know about Superman. What makes you think he's the only thing out there?
And it might even be the same guy for all I know. That would make me feel better about it.
He's like the general. He's got like this many ribbons on his uniform, which is comical.
But he's the one who later, when she's like destroying their satellites, and he's like, how does she know about this base? And I'm like, you brought her there in the beginning of the movie. You were throwing notebooks around.
Well, but she's like jacked into Amanda Waller's head at that point.
Sure.
But
also, I don't remember why exactly I wrote this down, but I was like, if they can weaponize Enchantress, then what the fuck is all the rest of this about?
Yeah.
Like, if they can control her, then why do we have Killer Croc? Like, what? It's so bad.
It's Mr. Echo.
I know.
Yeah.
I like him.
But it's bad.
It's horrible.
That's the thing. I agree with you. It's him and Diablo are literally the worst parts of this movie.
They all, well, except for Diablo, but they all also have one name too many. Like, Croc is fine. He doesn't have to be Killer Croc. And like Boomerang's fine. It doesn't have to be Captain Boomerang. It's like every single one of them, it's gilding the lily.
Maybe he is a decorated captain in the Australian Army. We don't know.
Yeah, and Batman and Flash are in this goddamn movie.
Yeah.
There's too much happening.
Way too much.
But Croc,
Batman is blessedly only in, and Flash, they're only in very small things. What was I saying? We're
talking about Croc.
They're both just...
And Diablo.
Terrible. Just terrible. That's the thing is, I also like Jay Hernandez. I like him quite a lot.
It's so dumb.
Because I turned to Will and I was like, oh my God, did he Manchester by the Sea, his family? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, I fucking totally forgot that.
Oh, really?
Because I remembered...
You had the exact same reaction the first time.
Okay.
Like, joke and all, I want to say.
I remembered him saying, I already lost one family. I'm not going to lose another. And I just was like, boo.
You made it work too well. Because he's sort of like...
It is sort of like...
cheating out to the audience, where he's like, I already lost one family. I'm not going to lose another. Like, you expect him to break out in song at that point, honestly. That's what this movie need. A
musical. Yeah.
Because the music is ever present and so completely on the nose.
It's so bad.
And they hit it. They make sure to hit it like 5 times over because...
5?
When Amanda Waller walks in, Harley Quinn goes, are you the devil? Why would she say that? Why? Why would you ask? Does she just ask everyone that walks in there? Because all she sees is a woman in like a sensible red skirt suit walk in. And she says, are you the devil?
Maybe because it's like red.
I just don't
I believe they spent their entire Enchantress budget on the first 2 needle drops. And that's all I'm going to say. There are so many needle drops in this movie. You're right. They are all totally on the nose. And there's also just too fucking many of them. And they're all...
Sympathy for the Devil plays at like the 7-minute mark, and it's like the 4th needle drop. If that tells you anything.
They're all just also so basic.
They're 101.
They're the most... to the point where I was like, Will was like, this is just straight garbage. I was like, well, they're good songs. And he was like, I'm not arguing that they're good songs. He was
but
like,
again,
you can't just go in there with CCR and just expect people to go on board. And I was like, well, CCR. And he was like, no. He was like, it's just the most basic one. There are other things to do. But then
consider like Guardians, which has 3, arguably 3 like basic tracks, but then it like filters out some middle cuts, and then like there's 2 or 3 songs in Guardians that were like micro hits, like they were only hits in like one tri-state region. Like it's very sort of layered. There are no layers, like
no,
and somehow too many. I don't know.
No, there's not too many. There's definitely not too many. I don't know. I just that's the issue for me, is that it feels like it knows that it's clever in a way, or like it knows it's trying to be clever, or it thinks it's more clever than it is, and it ends up just everything falling totally flat. It's just not great. I already talked about the scene with Batman with Bruce at the end. I do like that scene a lot, although it renders Batman's in like half of his story in Batman vs Superman totally moot, because he already has information on all of the metahumans. Why does he need this information from Amanda Waller? She just gives him dossiers of information that I believe he already has. Because that's like a thing in that movie, is that he's like collecting information on all of them. But I do, because that's the thing, is like, that's why I think that her in that scene is so good, is because she just is like, she's talking to him and telling him all this stuff, and then she's like, you look terrible, you should stop working nights. And she hits it with an inflection that I think is really, because she never says like, I know you're Batman, but it's just like the way she says that, well, she knows.
Literally everybody says that.
Yeah.
Like Jesse Eisenberg, like everybody is, because that whole scene, this is back to BVS, but the whole scene where he's like, Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne. I was like, Clark Kent is nobody. Why
he's
would
like a
anyone
beat reporter.
ever make a big deal about that?
Yeah.
It's so stupid. I mean, yeah, I said 1 out of every 3 of these lines land, because the I forget who says it. It's Baron Holtz or Kinnaman or whatever, but he's like, if you do this or that, or even so much as vex me.
Oh yeah,
Harley does the I'm known to be quite vexing. Like that one's good. And Harley Quinn is a difficult character to pull off, and Margot does a good job. How do you feel? I know you don't have any connection to the character, especially because she's relatively new. I thought she was around longer than she was, but she's from the animated series in the 90s.
Oh, okay.
People had issue with the way she is depicted in this movie. Do you have any, like, not knowing much about the comics? Do you have?
Not knowing much about the comics, it's not that I have an issue with Harley Quinn aesthetically. I think obviously Margot Robbie is hot. Her pigtails are hot.
It's also pretty iconic. I mean, even if because even if you don't like it, I mean, it is a recognizable.
Sure. The hot pants are fine. It's all fine. My issue is that it's so aggressively from the male gaze that it's like, I don't know. It puts a bad taste in my mouth, because especially given everything surrounding her. And that's funny, because it's like, I'm fine with the items of clothing. Yeah.
It's the daddy's little monster, and it's like all the branding that I don't like.
Yeah.
Because I can believe that she just wants to wear trampy clothes.
Sure. Well, that's the other thing that I said last night.
Also, her physicality with the shoes and everything, like when she falls and does that running. Like, Margot does incredible physical work in this, and even more so in Birds of Prey.
So that's what I was going to say is, when you look at this next to Birds of Prey, I don't even necessarily think it's 2 different characters, because Will was having kind of an issue with her performance last night. And I was like, well, for me, she is, in this movie, she is a brainwashed cult member, and she is acting the way she has always acted, and she is trying to...
Well, she's been conditioned to act.
And she's trying to get back to her pudding, and that's, like, her only goal. And I think the difference is, I think it's more of a growth journey than it is, like, a separate movie. And I like that, and I think that is all Margot.
And if I believed that was always their goal, I would feel better about it, but... I don't
believe that was David Ayer's goal. No. Not at all. But I do appreciate...
I don't believe that when they called cut on the last day of filming, that they were like, we're never going to see Jared Leto's Joker again. Like, I think that they were going to continue down that path. And the emancipation, I was actually a little bit bummed when they changed the title of Birds of Prey, because I like titles with a flourish.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's still, like, officially that.
It's Birds of Prey, but it was the fantabulous emancipation.
It's both. It's the whole thing.
Well, okay.
But that's the thing is, like, I feel like that's all a Margot Robbie thing, and like a viewers interpreting her performance into that. I don't know that was on the page in this script.
Also, and I'm actually asking, is her dream, is her fantasy to have a suburban life with normal Joker?
I don't know. It seems like yes.
I was like, oh, Wolf of Wall Street, okay.
Well, she looked just like Wolf of Wall Street. He looked like a mannequin doll because he had shaved his eyebrows off, so he was wearing a wig and eyebrows. Just so bizarre.
Jared Leto. I like 30 Seconds to Mars. He gives good screech. I like the long hair and the... Look,
Jordan Catalano can't read. I get the appeal. I'm here for Jared Leto most of the time. I wish that he would stop being so weird in real life. He's such a bonkers person in real life. I believe he started a cult on some island, didn't he?
So, no.
Yes, did he? I think he did.
That sounds right. So, June survived.
I believe so, yes. She's like digging herself out of mud at the end.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
The whole thing's real bad.
It's real bad.
I really wanted to bring something more nuanced.
Me too. It just is. It's sloppy, and it's not. And like, I also love Ike Barinholtz, but his character's so racist.
And what does he do?
Nothing. It's just bad.
There's so many people in this movie.
Too many people in this movie.
It's like 24 above the line credits.
Yeah.
It's like...
It really is, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know. It's really frustrating because I remember being excited for this one too, because it was so colorful and so cool, and we were getting Harley Quinn and we were excited about that, and yeah, and then it just sort of went to shit.
Arkham Asylum's great. I would love to watch a movie about that.
Where was Arkham?
The first time we see Joker and Harley Quinn before she's...
Oh, yeah.
When she's Dr. Harleen Quinzel.
Sure,
I said that was dumb.
Sure. You think her name is dumb?
Harleen Quinzel. These are villains, Amanda. What makes you think you control them?
She's like too sure that she could keep Enchantress's heart locked in that case, and it is like immediately stolen back. Like so fast.
Yeah, and so all the people die, I think. All those like...
Yeah, they also said something. One of them said something where like, she's making monsters that you can't kill even with a headshot. And Will was like, they've all been killed with less than a headshot. And I was like, yeah, even Harley's just beating them in the head with her baseball bat and they're going straight down. What are you talking about?
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
All my friends are heathens. Take it slow.
We are getting another Suicide Squad movie.
And it's tangentially related.
I think it should be. And it is going to be directed by James Gunn, who has a way better track record.
Robbie, Kinnaman, Davis, and Courtney are returning.
Cool. The good ones.
Yeah. Like I said, I would have actually taken Will Smith.
Oh, is he not? He's not one of the ones? That's too bad, because I actually did really like his Deadshot. Kind of a lot, actually. And you're right. You and I are the same, where we are mixed on Will Smith in general. And I did like him a lot. And I thought his emotional stuff paid off. The stuff with his daughter, I thought that paid off. And I think you're right. His stuff with Harley was really interesting. And
they should do another movie.
Yeah. Well, they did one called Focus that we never saw. Yeah.
Oh, good. The upcoming Suicide Squad. In the film, a task force of imprisoned convicts are sent to destroy a Nazi prison.
Oh, boy.
More Nazis.
So tired of the Nazis.
Yeah, so I guess we probably aren't going to get June Moon back, but
most likely not.
I don't know. I mean, I actually liked the design. It just
Of Enchantress?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, well, you were like, they blew their effects budget, but
She looks dumb. It's like it's like Cara Delevingne stops right here, and then a weird salsa, something doing the merengue is below her.
On Tumblr, I'll see if I can find it. It was an animation of like a little otter, and he had like a fish, and he's going like this, and they were like the Enchantress and Suicide Squad.
It's not good.
Okay, we're done. We're good. We're good. So
okay, well, as before, Suicide Squad is available for watching on HBO Max. I want to say a big I'm sorry to our friend on Twitter, Keely, because she said that this movie has rewatchability. I would say,
I mean, we rewatched it.
We did rewatch it. I would also say if you're just there for visuals and needle drops, then 100, checkmark 100. But this movie makes no sense. Like, not even a little bit, in my opinion. So, but yeah, it can be watched on HBO Max if you're interested. Or if you've never seen it and you're trying to get caught up before the 4-hour Justice League, then have at it. Other than that, you can follow us on Twitter @SoI'mWatching or Instagram @SoI'mWatchingThisShow. We also have a website, soimwatching.com, which links out to everything, including the YouTube that you could be watching this on. And also our Patreon, which is patreon.com/soimwatchingthisshow. If you want to throw a little coin to your podcasters.
Give me money. I have to buy wine.
Buy wine. Help me, I'm poor. And then other than that, you can rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes or YouTube or wherever you listen. And that's it for us.